Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Breakthrough the Taboo Talk. I am Rita Bacuzzi, also known as Mama Rita Money. And one thing that I know is that words every day can build us up or take us down. And I love this quote of someday starts now, and you get to unlock the power of you. So it's unlock the power of you. And I believe that we get to do that every single day. So I'm coming before you today, sharing with the guest that I'm bringing back because she's so super amazing. And when we learn the empowerment of what she teaches, it literally changes your life. And that is Michele Molitor with Nectar Consulting. She's a recognized speaker. And so that someday starts now, unlock the power of you is a quote from Michele. And so this evening, we are going to start a 4-part series, and we are going to talk about the beliefs and fears around money. And it's not just money, but that seems to be a taboo topic that comes up in our everyday lives where we personally use an attack of words on ourselves that holds us back. So we're going to look at beliefs and fears around money and the taboo talk that we might be having with ourselves and what that looks like. So this evening, you're going to get to learn your way around those beliefs and fears so that you can break through to your financial success and financial freedom. And we get to look at what does that look like? What does that feel like? And how can you recognize if you yourself are the saboteur of your success in your everyday life? So how does security and a need for control play into this, right? A need for security, a need for control. Are you a control freak? I know I was. Well, we're going to learn about how that is hardwired in our DNA. So what steps we can take to overcome the fear of losing that security or control. Because for a lot of us, it's that fear of loss. And, we want to have more in our lives, so we need to recognize these pieces that are platforms to really kick off and, have us lunge or leap into being successful. Breaking through taboo talk is also knowing what that taboo talk is. Have you ever heard people saying phrases, well, I'm just lucky? Or maybe, gosh, you know what? I can't really stand up and speak in front of people because they'll find out I'm not exactly who they think I am. Or maybe you simply hear those words of, I don't deserve it, or I'm never good enough. Maybe when we were younger, we heard the phrases, you'll never. I have a friend who wrote a whole book about the you'll nevers and getting around them. And it's not perfect. Are we trying to be perfectionists? These are forms of taboo talks that break down spirits, that then break down communities. And once we master these and share these gifts, it is foundational. And with that, I am going to bring Michele Molitor in. She is an amazing recognized speaker. She has been working in consulting and doing the type of work around imposter syndrome, breaking through these self-sabotaging systems through executive coaching and recognized speaking. She's a recognized speaker, and she has a unique technique. And I love it because we are an instant gratification. And I'm not saying what she's going to teach you could be instant. It could be instant for some people. I know there's some parts for me that were like a light switch, but she does rapid transformational therapy. And she's a co-author in a book called Breakthrough Healing. And I think that we need healing from the taboo talk. So I'm going to bring Michele in to have a conversation and start sharing so that this way we all get that opportunity to build our spirits, tame that inner critic, and launch ourselves into a platform for success around our words and the words that we're feeding our mind and ourselves. So, Michele, welcome. Thank
Hi,
you for
Miss
being here.
Rita. Thanks for having me back on the show. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Me too. I'm so excited to have you here. I know that anytime you and I get together, this conversation could go on forever. And I know tonight we only have about less than 20 minutes to really get out to our audience some of the ways that they can conquer these fears and beliefs. And I say conquer because I think sometimes we're at war with ourselves, right? It's a
Ooh,
it's not a war of the world, it is, but it's a war of the words a lot of the
there's
times.
a whole internal dialogue battle that happens with so many people on any given day and any given moment, right? And just starting to notice what is the conversation that you're having with yourself, right? First and foremost, noticing the mind chatter that is constantly going. What are we doing? Oh, it's a beautiful day outside. What's for lunch? I wonder. Oh, I'm a little tired. Maybe I'd like to take a nap. Oh, no, I can't. I'm too busy. And the constant that goes on, right? But then there are those internal saboteurs that add to the mix, right? Of, are you doing enough? Are you working hard enough? Are you getting it right? Who are you? Are you out of your depth here? What's going on, right? Someone's going to find out you're a fraud, right? There's all of that negative self-talk that we feed ourselves. And if your negative self talk is far greater than your positive self talk, that's when the stress, the anxiety, the fear, the worry, even depression can show up, right? And pull you further and further down into that dark pit, right? So the first step that I always like to tell people is just notice if where I always say, if your positive self talk is above the waterline and your negative self talk is below the waterline, how much time are you spending above or below the waterline?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because if you're not above the waterline enough, you're going to be gasping for air, and it's going to be difficult for you. So it's learning to see that conversation you're having with yourself and then starting to consciously choose about how you want to change it, right?
Yeah, I look at those as like the starting point of my A series of words, which starts with awareness and acknowledgement, right? So that we can acknowledge what's going on. We get to choose. We get to choose. We get to choose what type of attitude we're going to have and what actions we're going to support that so that we're in alignment. So I call that my 5A series.
I like that. Yeah, you'll have to write that one down for me.
I have it written down. It's about playing these games because I'm going to say, growing up, I think, we have a different perspective of children when people are saying things. And I'm going to say, if you're a sensitive child, which I think most children are sensitive, they're young, they're learning, they're in exploratory phases, they're vulnerable, they're authentic, so which, in the world today leaves us open to what we fear other people are going to say to us. But a lot of times we're already saying what we are fearing, we're already saying in our heads.
To
So
ourselves,
right?
right?
And so even today I was having a conversation and I'm trying to remember, I have so many meetings like this where the conversation was, it was a session with a group that we're being coached in. And it was about, one of the gals was really like, you don't even realize you're doing it. I've done it. I was doing it. I was saying words like trying. Okay. Trying. I'm going to try. I'll try.
Do or do not. There is no try.
There is no try. Who said that? There is a no try. There was a
Yoda.
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 There
Do
is no
or do not.
try. Right? So when I'm live, I mean, I can barely do it here today, but if I try to hold my pen, I'm trying. Like I
Right.
didn't do a really good job. I tried. I
I
tried.
tried, but it kind of fell off.
It kind
Right.
of fell off. So, and that's like us. We kind of like fall off what's that good path for us? And I'm going to say I'm in an open group where, hey, did you catch what you're just saying? Sometimes I'll say it 3 times. I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I stop this runaway freight train of words that, the train, I'm like looking at it, it's going to hit me. So but it's coming out of my own mouth. And until somebody mindfully says, look, you know what? I really love you, but how's that working out for you? How's trying to hold that pen working out for you?
Exactly.
Gives us an opportunity to acknowledge. And today that's really, these taboo words, not try to get them out of our world. Get them out of your world. Get them out
It's
of
all
your
about
language.
choosing. It's just all about choosing, consciously choosing to do that which you want to do, that you are choosing to do versus what you're trying to do,
I
right?
love that.
And when you get really clear and discern between those two words, doing and trying,
Yeah.
like I'm going to be a doer versus a trier, right? Versus,
I love
I'm
it.
going to be
This
in that
past
constantly
week,
trying
there's
mode.
been so much coming up around this is I get to, I choose to, I want to, I love to. If that's not coming out of your mouth, then you got to take a step back as to how am I being right now? How am I showing up, right? Am I feeling a little bit
Who
of that?
am I being?
Who am I
Who am I
being?
being?
Like,
And am I
these are
inspiring
post-it notes
myself?
I have to myself that I'm sharing with, totally vulnerable, because these things, these little tips, like they're huge. They're super helpful. So the next question is, how am I being? And the next question is there a better way to my
Is
being right now?
if you're finding you're beating your head against the wall, then there might be a better way.
Right? If you're saying, and thinking includes those words. If you're thinking thoughts, you're saying words in your head to yourself that you would never, ever say out loud to someone else, because you'd be like, oh, if I said that, it's done, right? Would I talk like that to a child? Would I speak like that to a child? Well, no. Well, guess what? Look in the mirror, because there's a child looking back at you. Right in there, there's a
Absolutely.
child. Treat that child how you would want to treat every child in the world. Use the words. And it really is just about, like you just said, awareness, which we're going to create today, acknowledging, and then getting the choose to attitude. And then what steps am I going to take? Well, some simple, simple steps to remind yourself till it becomes a pattern, because I usually have different ones. They evolve. I get to the behavior pattern, and then I get to graduate and not have the sticky note in front of me, because I don't really like having sticky notes in front of me. So it's a pattern of, I get a reward as I graduate from my behaviors that were not serving me before.
And it's such a great thing, Rita, because one of the rules of the mind, I geek out on neuroscience all the time, right? So one of the rules of the mind is that your mind will deliver to you the words that you think and the pictures that you see in your own mind's eye. So if the words and the pictures that you're feeding yourself are negative Nellies and hateful heralds, they will pull you down, and then that will be the vibration, the frequency of energy that you're
Yep.
actually at, because we're all energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the law of attraction kicks in, and then you start drawing towards you more negative Nellies and more hateful heralds, and that's not what you want,
No.
right? So anytime you catch yourself in that negative mindset, right? I always say, do a pattern interrupt. Snap your fingers, stand up, change your physical body,
Yep.
like go walk outside, turn on the music and dance it out for just a few minutes to really shift your mindset, and then always take a moment for gratitude. Wow, I'm really grateful for this beautiful day today, or my ability to have this conversation with Rita today, whatever that is, because then you can start to shift the words that you're telling yourself and the pictures that you're seeing in your own mind. That's why I love vision boards so much, right? Because they're a great way to remind you of the things that you're grateful for and that you want to create. And the more you focus on those things, the more they will start to present themselves to you in your world. So, true story here. Years ago, I was asked prior to going to this 3-day retreat to create a big giant vision board, which I did. But it was so big that I couldn't carry it on the plane. So I had this literally like 4 foot by 5 foot vision board up on my wall for many, many years. And one of the things that I had on there was a giant aha. It said aha, right? Because I wanted to create ahas of new ideas and insights. And I was at this, you can't make this stuff, I swear to you. I was at this retreat and there's this guy walking around, he was a really big, heavy set guy. I'm like, and he wasn't really participating, but he was there. He was kind of hanging around. I'm like, who is that? What, is he part of it? They're like, oh, that's aha. He's an enlightened being. I'm like, get the heck out. And so I, of course, went over and met aha and had a very enlightening conversation with him for sure. And I was like, I manifested an aha in my life just like that.
Wow.
And then interestingly, even more interesting and sadly actually, I still have that vision board. It hangs someplace else now. And pieces and parts of it have fallen off, and the aha fell off and disappeared. And sadly, my friend Chris, aka aha, passed away. I was like, oh,
Yes.
look at that. He took his
Wow.
aha-ness out
Wow.
of circulation. So vision boards are powerful, people, I'm telling you.
They are super powerful. I've mentioned before on a show about with somebody else that talked about vision board and the dreaming. And really, for me, it's about creating your vision board, but there's also a financial vision board because we know a lot of times the resource of money. And when you put the intention of good into it, right, because it should be this enlightened feeling, this joy feeling. So what ended up happening, my first experience with the vision board, my girlfriend's like, you got to come do it. We're going to have some wine. This is when we could get together and have wine and do vision boards together. And so
Any
I'm
day
like,
now, we'll be back to that.
right. I don't know. Yeah, we're almost there. I know that all I knew was that I was there having fun, and this was setting some intentions for fun and good things to come into my life. So I was going through magazines, travel ones, because I wanted to travel. And this cruise ship kept popping up. And I'm like, but I don't really want to go on a cruise. But you know what? It's beautiful, whatever. And it was specifically a cruise ship to Alaska. I put that on my board. I finished my board like 10 o'clock at night. I get home. In the morning, my brother, no one knew I went to go do this, calls me up and says, hey, we're going on a cruise to Alaska and I'm going to pay for your ticket. I'm like, what? This doesn't even make sense.
Boom.
It's crazy.
There you go. Ask and you shall receive.
And it was like, at first I didn't want it, but I guess I did, or he had enough energy manifesting that I would want to go with him, right? That I felt it. And I'm going to talk a little, I want to ask a little bit, and I know we are already, my goodness, at 5:20. So I want to get into our questions, make sure that we answer them. But, oh gosh, and I just forgot what I was going to ask because I wanted to make sure we cover everything we're going to say. You know what? Let's go with the questions first, and then I'll come back to that thought. So the beliefs and fears that are getting in the way of success of financial freedom. They were a lot of the words that we were just talking about. So, this was what I was going to get into. That platform, this is one thing I always say in my head when I forget, before the show's over, I'll remember in just the right time. So that law of attraction, we did learn about that law of attraction, but that's not the only piece. There's more to it, right?
Always.
And so, these are building blocks. This is not this over the night. And it can be, depends. Some people will listen to things and they'll be on the brink and it's just like this light switch went on. Like And you were talking about, as we're doing these words and things, disrupting, right now I'm going to be disrupted with silence, creating space of silence for myself. So it's a stretch I've been asked to do, which I know the last time I did that, I actually had my whole program completely come out of me, like in a matter of minutes, just write it out. So I know that that's really healthy and really good to do, because it creates clarity and it opens us up to receiving what we already want. And then we're usually, and I've been feeling like I've been getting it myself. So it's really funny when they're like, do you think you could spend 15 minutes every morning and every evening? I'm like, sign me up. I'm ready to go. And it's so funny because I would commit. It is a commitment to myself, but I'm still being held accountable in a bigger group. So that's why I like accountability. And I think in our beliefs and fears, when we get into groups, we really grow. And it's important to know about your values. I think that you have in life, your top core values or belief system as part of that belief system, so that we can conquer these fears and be in alignment with people, be hang around with people that are in that same, like you and I, we have these beliefs and we know these things come true. This is how we got together. It's, you know, for finance, most people are not there. When I say they're missing the boat, most financial professionals are missing the boat when they do not have a discussion around the person's mindset around money.
Absolutely, because it is so fundamental. It is something that we all inherit from our family of origin, good, bad, or ugly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, the atmosphere that you grow up in, the mindsets that your parents have about money, it's hard, oh, it's easy, whatever that looks like for you, literally gets absorbed into your subconscious as a young child, and and it becomes the groundwork for how you perceive money, how you feel you deserve it or don't deserve it. You have to work hard for it. You don't have to work hard for it. All of that gets formed very, very early on. And, you know, in the work that you're doing, it's vitally important to understand what your client's mindset is about money. So
Mm-hmm.
then you can start to see how can we elevate them beyond that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Push them past their financial ceiling, as I call it, so that
Mm-hmm.
they can have much greater abundance, wealth, joy, happiness in their lives, and and it flows much more easily versus the feeling of having to push rocks uphill all the time.
So, how can they recognize if they're sabotaging themselves? And then I want to know a little bit about the hardwiring. I know we're crunch time, but I don't know
Yeah,
if you can
sure.
fit that
Well,
in. That would be awesome.
the thing that you can start to recognize that you're sabotaging yourself is, are you telling yourself, oh, who am I, or I feel like a fraud, or I don't deserve this, or I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, any of those negative self connotations that we've kind of been talking about. Start listening for those, and if you're hearing them in reference to yourself, then that's a big clue that there's some underlying beliefs that are probably really holding you back, right? And then you can start to consciously choose, well, what do I want to tell myself instead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Noticing the negative thought, noticing how that negative thought makes you feel, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling of, oh, I'm not enough, I don't deserve that. Well, how does it make you feel? Well, it makes me feel sad and kind of depressed, and your shoulders slump forward. And then what's the behavior that creates? Well, then I don't take action, or I procrastinate, or I don't do as much as I could. And then how does that make you feel? Well, then I feel even crappier because I've gotten nothing accomplished and I'm not going anywhere and I'm not reaching my goals, right? So you can see how those negative thoughts can very quickly take you down the rabbit hole. So then your trick is to flip the script, right? So
Yeah.
instead of saying I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, literally what's the exact opposite of that? Well, I am enough. I am worthy. And you say that to yourself, even if you don't believe it fully,
Mm-hmm.
right? Keep telling yourself, because your brain likes repetition. The more you think a
Yes.
thought, the more true it becomes for you. I am worthy. I am enough. I do believe in myself. And then you're like, well, how does that make you feel? Well, I feel better. I feel happier. My shoulders come up. My energy comes up, right? And then what kind of action does that inspire? Well, I'm going to pick up that phone. I'm going to make that phone call. I'm going to check off that box, do that thing that I know that I need to do. And then that leads to even better feelings and more inspirational ideas and energy coming in. So it starts to create the upward spiral in the other
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of choosing. Chocolate,
It is.
vanilla, choose. What is the thing that is going to lift you up or pull you down? And
Absolutely.
you get to choose which one and how you want to feel about it.
I love it. And I'm just going to do one little quick comment because I know we're short and I want to make you on time and I want to make sure you get the rest. Um, I call it, when we do journaling, it's a documented, dedicated declaration of who you are or who you want to aspire to be. Yep, absolutely. So it's hardwired in our DNA. What steps can we take? I know that you have, and I'll put it up, like it's 12 tools to taming imposter syndrome, which will help with all of what we're talking about. So I'm going to put that up, but go ahead and tell us in our last few minutes, and then we'll just close this out about, what steps can we take? How is it that it's hardwired and what steps can we take?
Sure. Well, as I said earlier, those beliefs that we absorb as kids, that is the thing that ends up guiding who we start to show up in the world until we choose differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if the challenge is if we don't know that those thoughts and beliefs are embedded in our subconscious and we're just acting unconsciously, but we're noticing all this negative internal dialogue. So noticing the internal dialogue is the first step,
Okay.
right? And when you choose to really make a change, then the perfect people, opportunities, and circumstances will start to present themselves, right?
Sure.
So you
Mm-hmm.
can find a coach or a mentor or a friend or a colleague that can then help you start to move beyond. My 12 tips for taming your imposter syndrome is a great start, for sure. And if you decide that I really really am recognizing this limiting belief, this saboteur, and I really want to get rid of it, then both Rita and I can help you do that, right? The work that I do, I help people get at those deeper subconscious beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
and inside of 30 to 90 days we can identify them, rewire them, and instill new empowering beliefs and thoughts that really helps create a quantum leap in your success much faster than you would be able to do on your own. So it is possible. I've done it with myself. I've done it with hundreds of people all around the planet, and it's super fun to watch people transform.
Beautiful. I love that. Definitely that platform is a great starting point. And I'm going to say, for those that want to hang out with groups like Wine Women Wealth, or they want to raise their financial intelligence, getting vibrationally, my earpiece, I apologize, is falling out. The words in so that this way you're hanging out with groups of people, getting ideas, get accountability partner, level up, get that coach, and get that going. And it really does open up unlimited possibilities. It's amazing. I'm going to say each time I find that I'm growing and raising my intelligence around this rapid rewiring of our, our thought processes and the words that we use, it takes us to the next level. Well, next week, we've got 1 minute. So next week, we are going to have a conversation in week 2 about changing the conversations of the enough, which is really great, so that we can empower you to be strong and stand in your words, to be confident, to be fearless, to be courageous, because you are all those things. And together, we are, I'm going to say, a rising tide that raises all ships. And I know last year, January of 2020, when the 20s started, I said this is going to be the soaring 20s. Make this your soaring 20s. Join us for next week and keep leveling up. And we look forward to seeing you then. And Michele, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you next week, 5 o'clock, this time right here. All
Same
right.
bat channel, same bat place. Bye,
Exactly.
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Ciao for now. Love y'all.